Hero storms and what they do to my people. I came here to learn what the Grey Host has planned, and what did I find? Good citizens of the Holds, afflicted by the Hero storms and kept prisoner for some ungodly purpose. No matter how many I set free, the Herald will not leave this place. That's all I've been doing, and trying to get these afflicted people to leave this place. The Herald, the storm robs them of their will, their minds. I wasn't able to slip deeper into the camp, though. Agreed. There appear to be a number of Grey Host warlords in the camp, so discovering their plans should be possible. We need to be careful, though. I don't want us to wind up like the Herald, serving as food for these bastards. Messages have been coming and going since I arrived. I've heard the name Rada al-Saran, the Ashen Lord, spoken in hushed and revered tones. His name was on the communique you found, remember? We need to get down there and see what else we can learn. Hiding, building their forces, digging, undermining. That's the correct term, I think. Plus, they're collecting the Herald, herding them like cattle. It's monstrous what they're doing to these poor people. The only thing I'm sure of is I have to try. If my father won't act, then it falls on me to get things done. It's what my mother would want me to do. Messages have been coming and going since I arrived. I've heard the name Rada al-Saran, the Ashen Lord, spoken in hushed and revered tones. His name was on the communique you found, remember? We need to get down there and see what else we can learn. Look, on the scaffold. Let's eavesdrop on those werewolves.
I left the orders in my tent, but the Ashen Lord was clear. We need more netherroot. See to the undergrove immediately.
As you command, Pentok.
The undergrove? That sounds important. There, on the left. Let's listen in.
Exarch Zingalis has fallen. I have never seen Rada el-Saran, our Ashen Lord, so filled with sorrow, or such rage.
Does the loss of the Exarch alter our plans?
Not in the least. The strike on Solitude will occur as planned after Exarch Ulfra tests the improved ritual in the Undergrove.
An attack on Solitude? We need to move quickly. The Grey Host definitely has something big planned. Let's search the tents for a copy of those orders. That's what we were looking for. Let's talk over there. Orders from Rada al-Saran. His words send a chill down my spine. Their plan for Solitude? It might even be more dreadful than an all-out attack. We need to get back and determine the exact location of this Undergrove place. You saw what happened at Kilcreath and Carthwatch. Whatever they have planned for Solitude, it sounds a whole lot worse. I wish we knew more about this Rada al-Saran and what drives him. A family of monsters? Who could imagine vampires and werewolves working together? Let alone talking about one another like brothers and sisters. It's not natural. Fenorian has the right idea. Come up with a defense against the Herostorms. After that, we can take the fight directly to the Grey Host. Thanks for assisting me. I'll see you back in Solitude. We came down here to find out what the Grey Host has planned. But Fen still needs information about how the medallions are created, and a sample of the refined netherroot brew. Help Fen and Lyris at the other camps. Then meet me in Solitude.
Just arrived. Don't worry, I found something to keep me occupied. bold move setting up camp in the midst of the Western Holds. I'll say this for the Grey Host. They aren't afraid to draw attention to themselves. I learned a few things while I was waiting for you to show up. It's just as we thought. The Grey Host is using this camp as a supply depot for their raids across the countryside. I saw stacks of witch pikes, rows of reliquaries, and jars of what I assume is the refined netherroot brew. Right. And I heard the camp leader, a nasty creature named Sableye, tell his troops to make sure to use the new supply that just arrived from Blackreach. Let's go grab a jar or two. Let's be quick. They loaded the jars of netherroot brew onto a cart for transport. Unfortunately, I lost track of which cart when things in the camp became hectic. We'll need to check them all. No jars in this cart. Let's try another one. Not this cart either. I hope we didn't miss it.
Stop them, my packmates. I'll get this brew to the witches.
Sableye has the brew. Let's find him before he gets away.
You know what the Grey Host does with spies. We eat them.
You got a jar of the refined brew? Let's talk over here. Luck was with us. If we had reached this camp even a few moments later, Sableye would have gotten away with the netherroot brew. After all this trouble, Fen better be able to use it to make his elixir. I'll take the jar of refined netherroot brew to Solitude. We'll meet up in Svanna's chambers when everyone gets back from their missions. I hope they're all right. Fen has proven himself, especially after what happened in Blackreach. House Ravenwatch, they're unusual as far as bloodsuckers go. As for Svanna, she's braver than I originally thought. Anyway, meet me in Solitude after you finish up. In addition to the refined netherroot brew, Fen needs information on the Icereach Coven medallions. Plus, we're hoping to learn more about the big storm the Grey Host has planned. Help Fen and Svanna at the other camps, then meet me in Solitude. Princess Svanna has something to prove, and that's never a good thing. At least she survived her mission. I'll ask her about it later. Now get to the coastal camp and assist Fen. He needs to learn about how the medallions are created.
Ah, good. I was hoping you'd show up. Lyris was right. This camp is crawling with the Icereach Coven. And they're definitely producing the medallions here. I was even able to slip away with one. We need to get closer, though. There's more to figuring out this magic than just watching from afar. I need to know exactly how they go about creating them. With your help, we can learn everything about that here in this camp. It's a landing site for the boats coming from the island of Icereach. Plus, they're collecting something here that goes into the process of creating the medallions. If you can get me to the center of the camp, I can learn what that is. Determining how they create these medallions will be an enormous help. The Grey Host has accelerated their plans. They need more medallions for a reason. A big harrow storm is coming. We need to be ready. Because the Grey Host is guarding something down there. I couldn't get close, but it appeared that they built the camp to surround something. Plus, I heard a few of the witches talking. Complaining, really, about needing to prepare more medallions. In the First Era, an army of vampires and werewolves tried to conquer the land before they were stopped in Bankarai. They called themselves the Grey Host. It seems this Rada al-Saran has resurrected the army, both figuratively and literally. Corpses? What do they have to do with the medallions? Let's examine the nearby graveyard. Examine the headstones. Let's determine what's so special about the exhumed bodies. The graveyard. The Ice Reach Coven certainly enjoy defiling graves. They exhumed some of the bodies buried here, but not all of them. The ones they dug up must be important to the creation of the medallions. We need to learn why. Obviously, the bodies are already gone. All that remains are the headstones. Maybe they'll provide a clue as to why those particular corpses were exhumed. And maybe that will tell me something about the process used to create the medallions. There must be something that connects these graves to the medallions. Finished? Have you come to any conclusions? Well, we've both been over the headstones with a fine-toothed comb. If we can determine why the Coven dug up these particular bodies, it will tell us something about how the medallions were enchanted. Of course. Compare notes and look for commonalities. You have the makings of a fine scholar, my friend. Now, let's see. I noticed there were a mix of different races buried here. They weren't all Nords. Anything strike you about the departed? They did. Tell me more. Of course. Why didn't I see that? The headstones on the exhumed graves all mentioned that the person was old when they died. Let me think. Some necrotic spells require the remains of the elderly. Something to do with the natural decay of life. According to one necromantic theory, the older a living thing becomes, the more necrotic energy it naturally acquires. As a body grows old and withers, the life inside it decays. Necrotic energy is the byproduct of this deterioration. I now know enough about how they create the medallions to move my research along. I'll return to the Blue Palace and start putting an elixir together. To fully craft an elixir to defend against the Harrow Storms, I still require a sample of refined netherroot brew. Plus, we need to determine what the Grey Host has planned. Help Lyris and Svanna at the other camps. Then meet me at the Blue Palace. You have been busy, my friend. And there's nothing left for us to do out here. Let's return to the Blue Palace in solitude and see if our efforts are worth the risk. You go on ahead. I'll meet you there.
So, do we have a way to defend against the Harrow Storms, or what?
The elixir should do what we need, provided neither Fen nor I made any miscalculations.
Yolen, don't be so negative. The elixir will work. You'll see.
It's all kind of dwarven to me. But I think Fen and the clever woman have figured out the elixir. Talk to Fen. See if I understand them correctly. And tell him the sooner the elixir is ready, the better. We gathered the information Fen needs to make an elixir. If it works as he hopes, it will protect my people from the Harrow Storms. Talk to Fen. Let's find out what else he requires to finish his work.
So much talk of brews and potions. A lot of nonsense, I say. Nothing keeps the Constitution strong and healthy better than a good dose of Orcish ale. And by dose, I mean a very large and well-aged barrel.
I'm not sure I completely follow what Fen and the clever woman are talking about, but it sounds like they may have made a breakthrough. What about Svanna? She took a big risk going to Blackreach with you. That's not the point. I never should have agreed to let her put herself in that kind of danger. She's the daughter of a High King. Besides, without Svanna to help us, Skyrim could send us back to Eastmarch. Or worse. Shore's bones, you're as bad as she is. Let's just get back to the business at hand. Talk to Fen and see if you understand what he and the clever woman are going on and on about.
Fenorian has an amazing mind. His thoughts and theories wind up in the most interesting places. Go ahead. Talk to him and see for yourself. An amazing mind.
Oh, good. You're back. Mjolnir and I have been discussing the various ways to turn what we've got into a protective elixir. I'm hesitant to get too excited, but I think we've figured out how to defend against the Harrowstorms. The Grey Host uses an unstable mix of alchemy and sorcery to create the Harrowstorms. An arcane ritual and the Netherroot brew focus the power of each Harrowstorm through the prepared witch pikes. Ingenious, but fully exploitable. We can use the refined brew as the basis of our elixir. Now that we understand how the Harrowstorms are created, we can use those same components to replicate the medallion's protective properties. We just need to gather the necessary components. Svanna's associate, Mog, will procure most of the supplies I need, but there's one final ingredient required. For various reasons, I can't simply walk into the Hall of the Dead and claim it myself. I need you to acquire Arkay's sacred oil. A holy ointment associated with a god that became popular due to imperial influence. It's used by the priests in the Hall of the Dead to provide protection against necromancy and the undead. We need that oil to create our elixir.
You'll need my help. I'll meet you at the Hall of the Dead. Mog, put away the tankard and get the supplies Fen requires.
Yes, your royal ladiness. But I'm keeping the tankard.
Knowing the orders my father has been issuing of late, you might need my help to acquire Arkay's sacred oil. I'll meet you at the Hall of the Dead.
Svanna's associate, Mog, will procure most of the supplies I need, but there's one final ingredient required.
To the Hall of the Dead with you. Hurry along! Ingert still serves as High Priest, I believe. We're much the same, he and I. Yet he gets the fancy temple. And I get a hut in the woods.
Go ahead. Get what Fen needs from the Hall of the Dead. I'll make sure Mog follows through on procuring the rest of the supplies. He can be easily distracted in case you haven't noticed.
Svanna's giving orders. Thinks she's a proper princess now, she does. Well, I am an expert at procuring all sorts of procurements. I'll get what the Pale Elf needs. After I finish this drink. For medicinal purposes, you understand.
Guards, more refugees arrive by the hour. Why does Skyrim hesitate?
The High King issues orders, but all they do is lock away the afflicted. When will we strike back? I hoped the words of the High Priest would offer some comfort, but no. The poor man seems more in need of solace than the faithful of solitude, and still the refugees pour in. My Jarl dead, our hold destroyed, and the High King does almost nothing. The princess. Can we really trust that troubled young woman? After everything you did in Carthwatch, I suppose I must. If you and Svanna truly have a way to help, please be quick about it. I feel we're running out of time.
The Harrowstorms continue to ravage our land, filling the city walls with people crying for protection. And what does the High King do? Next to nothing. Oh, he makes small gestures, but still things worsen. So he has. But have soldiers been sent to Morthal? Has aid been dispatched to Carthald? No, not yet. Svargrim helps the people that flow into the city, while the rest of western Skyrim suffers. We must find the perpetrators and attack!
Princess Svanna, what can I do for you, Your Highness?
Listen to my friend, High Priest. We need your help. I came here after my mother's death. Someone had to handle arrangements. Talk to the High Priest and ask about the sacred oil. I need a moment.
I'm surprised to see the princess here. As you can see, the influx of refugees has made this place much more hectic than usual. Is there something I can do for Princess Svanna? Sacred oil? Strange. That's the second time today someone has come seeking Arke's anointing balm. Sword Thane Athlet arrived with an edict from the king, demanded our entire supply. How we're to consecrate the dead without it, I have no idea. The Sword Thane wouldn't say. He just mentioned that the High King needed it to defend Solitude. I'm sorry I can't comply with the princess's request. Things are hard enough that these refugees must take shelter here among the dead. The Sword Thane took the oil to Castle Dower. That's where all the supplies for a siege are gathered during periods of strife. I pray that High King Svargrim receives the patience and wisdom required to see us through this crisis. Solitude's foundation began with the construction of Castle Dower. It's the oldest structure in the city, and the most defensible. I tried to move the refugees there for safekeeping, but my request was denied. The High King has other plans, I suppose.
Has my father found a way to use this sacred oil against the Grey Host? Perhaps he's doing more than I thought. This Sword Thane has helped me in the past. He'll be reasonable. He has to be. Let's let him know what we need.
The guild has need of you, comrade.
Princess Svanna.
Sword Thane, our business is urgent. My friend will explain.
I don't have time for the princess's proclivities right now. The High King... We barely keep up with the multitude of tasks, so speak quickly and let me get back to it. My orders from the High King were clear. Stockpile the entire supply of sacred oil in the Temple of the Divines here within the confines of Castle Dower. What in Shore's name does the princess need with holy oil anyway? Protection? Truly? The Herald already outnumber my soldiers, and more arrive every day. Still, giving you the oil would violate the High King's edict. I suppose if I happened to look the other way for a moment, I wouldn't notice if a flask disappears.
Sword Thane Athlet, what a good soldier. I'll remember what he's done for us this day. A single flask? Finn will have to make do. Let's get it back to...
Sword Thane, why has work? I gave strict orders, yet my daughter freely enters the castle grounds. What do they want, Sword Thane?
We came to offer our assistance, Father. Sword Thane, how can we help?
Athlet has everything well in hand, child. Despite your intentions, you would only hinder our efforts. Go! The Sword Thane doesn't need my daughter or her wastrel underfoot.
Away with you!
We're much too busy for Svanna's frivolous notions.
You try my patience! Take the princess and leave here immediately!
My father's never been what I'd call a warm and caring parent, but this crisis has made him even more distant. Let's get this sacred oil to Fen. My father will certainly change his attitude once we present the protective elixir to him. He's trying to protect me. It's what he does. And leave me out. Though I suppose that's mostly my own fault. I know Mother's death weighs on him, as does this entire crisis. That's why we have to help. This elixir is going to work. It has to. It's not that unusual. Castle Dower is the most defensible part of the city. In the past, we'd gather the people inside the walls. Now my father is using the fortress to house the Herod. They need to go somewhere, right? Come on, let's go. Let's hurry back to the Blue Palace. The sooner Fen creates this elixir, the sooner we can distribute it.
Once it's ready, I'll test the elixir.
As you say, Lyris. Ah, here they come now. You have the sacred oil? Add it to the cauldron.
Go ahead. Do as Fen asked and pour the oil into the cauldron. We need to find out if this protective elixir is going to work.
Please, don't get too close while you're carrying the sacred oil. I have an adverse reaction to such ointments. If you'll pour it into the cauldron, I can complete the elixir.
You have the oil? Then toss it in the cauldron. You don't want to know what else Fen and the old witch had me drop in that pot.
So the High Priest let you have some of his precious oil? No, I don't want the details. Empty the flask into the cauldron and we'll see what happens. Oh, and make sure to stand back when you do it. Just in case.
Yes, a perfect fusion. It's ready to be tested. Come, let's talk.
Well, it didn't explode. That's a step in the right direction. I just hope it doesn't taste anything like it smells when I test it.
Venorian does exemplary work, despite his youthful exuberance and dashing appearance. Of course, we still aren't sure if the elixir will actually keep the effects of a hailstorm at bay.
There's only one way to know if the elixir actually works. We have to test it. Talk to Fen and see how he wants to proceed.
With the addition of the sacred oil, the elixir is complete. Before we produce enough to distribute to the people of Western Skyrim, we need to test it. I'm confident of my work, but we're dealing with powerful forces here. We can't wait for the next Harrowstorm to strike, but what you and Svanna learned in Blackreach might help. You heard that Exarch Ulfra was testing Harrowstorm rituals in a place called the Undergrove. We'll go there and let Lyris drink the elixir. During my explorations of Blackreach, I came across an ancient burial site, a place called the Midnight Barrow. This Undergrove must be inside those ruins. Once there, you and Svanna keep watch from a safe distance, while Lyris steps into the storm. From what I could tell, the Midnight Barrow sank into Blackreach in the distant past. Somewhere in its chambers, we'll find the Undergrove. The ruined barrow is in the Lightless Hollow, in the northwest portion of the cavern. We'll meet you there. We're going to find an active Harrowstorm in the Undergrove, or I'm going to attempt to replicate one in there. Then Lyris drinks the elixir, exposes herself to the dark magic, and we wait to see what happens. Very risky, but it's also our best chance to counter the Harrowstorms and fight back against the Grey Host. Either Lyris comes through fine, or she transforms into a Herod. Or a Harrow Fiend. That's also a possibility.
Blackreach again? And a flask of foul-smelling elixir waiting to be guzzled down. Oh, joy.
Blackreach. If I were a little younger, I'd love to go with you. Do a little exploring. Ah, well. I suppose I'll stay here in the palace. Work on how to create more of the elixir once we know it's safe.
This has to work. The safety of my people depends on it. Besides, I don't want to see Lyris get hurt.
From what I could tell, the Midnight Barrow sank into Blackreach in the distant past.
You always take me to such nice places.
Please, 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 please don't make me do this!
You and Fen stay put until we clear a path to the Undergrove.
Fine. Just don't take all day.
This is it. Look lively and let's get on with it.
Ugh, I hate being treated like I need protection. But Lyris is right. Fen and I will just get in the way if a battle breaks out. Clear us a path to the Undergrove. Then we'll catch up with you.
Go on. You and Lyris deal with any hostiles and find the Undergrove. Then we can finally test the elixir. We're going to find an active Harrowstorm in the Undergrove. Or I'm going to attempt to replicate one in there. Then Lyris drinks the elixir, exposes herself to the dark magic, and we wait to see what happens. Very risky. But it's also our best chance to counter the Harrowstorms and fight back against the Grey Host. Either Lyris comes through fine, or she transforms into a Harrod. Or a Harrow Fiend. That's also a possibility.
This must be the place. I'll go back and get...
No need. We're here.
The princess insisted.
We followed at a safe distance and only advanced after you cleared the way. From this point on, we stay together. And that's an order.
Yes. What she said. Now, let's enter the Undergrove.
Let's go inside and get this over with before I change my mind. You know, I tried to convince Fen to add some meat into the mix, but he totally ignored me. It needs to be done, and I'm the logical choice. King Yoren sent me here to help Western Skyrim. If that means drinking Fen's concoction and possibly becoming a mindless Harrowed, so be it. Look, I was once a prisoner of a Daedric prince. If we get out of this, remind me to tell you about that sometime. As for now, I trust Fen. The elixir will work. We just need to have a little faith.
I know this is our best course of action, but I can't help worrying about Lyris. I'm not sure I can forgive myself if something happens to her. No. We need to test the elixir. Lyris volunteered without hesitation. She's a true hero. Still, to know she might die to help my homeland, that's not easy for me to live with. What? No, I didn't even consider that. No, Lyris wants to do this. And it isn't like we have a whole lot of options. Let's get moving.
So this is the place. The Undergrove. According to the orders you found, the Grey Host is experimenting with Harrowstorms in there. You should go first. Then we'll find a spot to test the elixir. We need to find where they're experimenting with the Harrowstorms.
You honor me with your presence, my king.
Grey Host, stay quiet and listen.
This Harrowstorm must be the biggest we have ever wrought, my sister-in-arms.
That's the leader of the Grey Host.
Have we heard from Solitude? Is everything in place?
I have been assured the city is ripe for harvest.
Rada al-Saran and Exarch Ulfra. Should we postpone the test?
Certainly not. The holds are counting on us. Besides, we might be able to end this threat right here and now.
2 Grey Host leaders. This is an opportunity we can't let slip away.
We need to test the elixir, but maybe we can put an end to the Grey Host here and now by taking out 2 more of its leaders. It's a long shot, I know. But we have to try.
This is a bad idea. We barely got out of Zingalis's clutches with our lives, and now Svanna wants to take on 2 of them. It's madness!
Dares intrude? You, the murderers who killed our beloved Singalis!
And you're about to join him.
Impudent mortal! You will pay for your crime. Now for the rest of these curs!
My king, allow me the honor of spilling their blood!
Very well, sweet sister. Join me in Greymoor. The task is done.
Let this harrow storm flay the flesh from your bones!
We need to leave. Svanna, no!
See to Lyris, Fen. And pray your elixir works.
Protect Svanna. She needs time for the elixir to do its job.
Kill my brother! For that, you die!
The elixir. It worked!
Svanna's as stubborn as a Skyrim winter, but she's definitely got the blood of a Jarl coursing through her veins. I'll be fine. Go check on the princess.
Lyris will be all right. She's as strong as a mammoth and twice as mean. But Svanna, she was exposed to the full effects of the Harrow Storm. Check on her while I finish up here.
I think it worked. I stood in a Harrow Storm and nothing happened. Fen's elixir is a success. And we took out another one of the Grey Host leaders. We've done good, my friend. Never better. We need to create as much of the elixir as possible and distribute it throughout Solitude before Rada al-Saran's massive Harrow Storm hits. I also want to find out who in the city is helping him. Let's meet back at the Blue Palace. Once my father understands that we have a way to protect against the Harrow Storms, he'll have to take us seriously. Let's get back to the city as fast as we can. I know, right? It happened so quickly. When we confronted Rada al-Saran and Exarch Ulfra, the Vampire Lord blasted Lyris with his magic. When I saw her fall, I knew I had to act. It certainly gave us a fighting chance. When she called forth the Harrow Storm, I grabbed the elixir from Lyris and barely thought about what I was doing. I just drank it down and walked into the storm. I don't disagree, but somebody had to do it. There wasn't any other option. And I'd do it again. My people are counting on me.
Tell me, do I have a new scar? Enough with the coddling. Let's get back to the Blue Palace.
You go on ahead. I'll make sure Lyris gets back to Solitude.
Listen to your daughter, Svargrim. We need to do something.
Don't test me, Redharn. I know exactly what I need to do.
He's my father, but he never listens to a word I say. Maybe you can get through to him. You have to try.
I'm not comfortable in such surroundings, but I'll endure. We need to convince the High King that the elixir works. And then we have to make a lot of it, and quickly.
Svargrim has the manners of a rabid hawker. How do his people stand him?
Something is off about all this. Svargrim has always been stubborn. But now?
High King or not, we have to make Svargrim listen to reason. He sees conspiracies in every shadow, but refuses to accept that Princess Svanna has something that will actually help our people. The man makes my blood boil!
If the High King plans to stay on his throne, then he needs to lead. This inaction is infuriating. If he won't do something, then he should step aside, and the sooner the better.
Speak your piece to the king and be done with it. I need to clear the hall.
Our enemies circle ever closer, and now even my daughter turns against me. What's next? Will my beloved wife return to accuse me of some heinous crime? Well, get to it. Tell me about Svanna's miraculous elixir before I have the lot of you tossed out. You represent my most hated enemy, and expect me to believe a word you say? Even if you speak true, worms have found purchase in the wood and seek to rot my kingdom from within. I will not let Solitude and the Western Holds fall. Trust Svanna. Perhaps. No. No! Your honeyed words are but echoes of my most obstinate foes. You offer a miracle with one hand, while holding a poisoned dagger in the other. Hell, I need no help from the likes of you.
Don't be a fool, Father. This elixir will save our people.
I didn't think you had it in you, daughter. You have actually surpassed my expectations, more's the pity. And I'll hear no more talk of this miracle elixir.
Father!
The Grey Host is my true ally. Once the Harrow Storm engulfs Solitude, my kingdom will endure for all eternity.
I should have sensed it. Svargrim's a vampire.
Svanna.
Not now, Lyris. I need to think about this. I thought he was grieving, but it was all a ruse. My father, High King of Western Skyrim, in league with the Grey Host! Please, talk to Lyris. I need to consider what happens next.
It must be some sort of trick. The High King would never betray us. Would he?
How can this be? The High King? Sacrificing his own people? It's so hard to believe.
Svargrim, you bastard! People are dead. Holds destroyed. And our High King had a hand in it? How will we survive this betrayal?
I should have suspected, sensed something. Svargrim has taken the curse, become a vampire. And he's working with the Grey Host. This is bad, my friend. Very, very bad.
I knew there was something wrong, but this? How could Svargrim throw in with the Grey Host? It's brazen, even for him.
Svargrim's a bastard, but King Yoren believed he had the best interest of his people at heart. Obviously, something changed. And with Solitude targeted for a massive Harrow Storm, things have gotten more complicated. Not everything is as grim as it appears. We did create an elixir. That's our best chance of protecting the people from the Harrow Storm. We just need to distribute it. In the meantime, take this. It may not seem like much, but you earned it.
Father, how could you?
This is bad, but we'll figure it out. We have Fenn's elixir. That's something, right? Svanna needed a moment after her father revealed his betrayal, but now it's time to act. Talk to her. We're just visitors here. She needs to lead.
My father, working with the Grey Host. How long has he been a part of this? Did he have a hand in Mother's death? And what has he told them? It's almost too much to bear. And then there's the Herostorm. My friend, I don't know what to do. You're right. I know you're right. It's just... he's my father. No. I have to focus. There's a Herostorm coming. We have to save the city. That's what's important right now. I'm not sure we can. But we can make more of Fenn's elixir. Get it into the hands of the people. We need more of Arkay's sacred oil, though. We'll have to take it from the supply stockpiled at the Temple of the Divines.
They've taken it! By the gods, it's fallen!
Fallen? What are you talking about?
The Grey Host. They came out of nowhere, captured the temple and the Tower of the Wolf. We're locked out!
Then the sacred oil.
Damn it all! I need to get down there!
Follow him! Now, soldier, tell me exactly what happened.
This is bad. It's Carthwatch all over again.
We may have waited too long. The High King revealed his true colors, and Solitude begins to fall. If they're already inside the city, there may be no way to stop them.
Get to the temple and evaluate the situation. We'll join you shortly, after I get a more detailed report out of my soldier. I don't think so. Fenn says it's a key component. Let's see what we're up against at the temple. Every locked door in Solitude can be circumvented if you know your way around the city. We'll get the sacred oil one way or another. It was surprising, to say the least. But my father and his treachery will have to wait. We need to protect the people of Solitude from the approaching Herostorm. That's our priority.
As long as the Grey Host controls the temple, we're cut off from the supply of sacred oil. It's imperative we get our hands on that oil, and quickly.
Go on. Go see what the situation at the temple is. We'll catch up. I'll wait for Svanna and make sure nothing threatens her.
Despite this turn, Svanna has the right idea. Our best bet is to retrieve the sacred oil, make more elixir, and distribute it before the Herostorm strikes the city.
They surprised us, attacked without warning. We barely got out of there alive before they sealed the gates. I don't know. It happened so fast. One moment I was patrolling the courtyard. The next I was fighting for my life. They were everywhere. A few of us barely managed to get out before they sealed themselves inside the temple and the tower. Oh, who knows how those monsters think? It's like they're waiting for something. As soon as I got out, I ran to the palace as fast as I could. Now I really ought to give the princess my full report.